it's at $50, $60 a share, but it kept going to 135. And what saved me was I had a few shares put off to the side so that if the stock did keep going, I would be able to participate in that. So I told my wife though, I said, God, I wish I had just bought it and just owned it, and then we would have made so much more money. But that's the nature of investing. You have to prepare for the upside and the downside. Now, another company that I mentioned that I brought up in class the other day that is connected directly to the Trump administration is Intel. And you can see Intel stock since the Trump administration got involved has also moved up a lot. It moved up 25% this week. I think it's going to keep going up. I believe that there's more to come. I believe that right now in the backdrop, I believe the Trump administration is working to find customers for Intel. And he likes to do things big. Trump is a guy that likes to take care of his friends and he likes to make bombastic, broad, loud announcements that sound like he's going to build a base on Mars or something. So I could see him coming out maybe, or somebody coming out in a few weeks and making a big announcement that Intel is going to have, $10 billion worth of chips being purchased by some company, right? So last week, the big news for Intel was the partnership with NVIDIA. NVIDIA injected $5 billion into the company. I believe that the next big announcement will be somebody coming along and being a big customer of Intel. I wouldn't be surprised if that were to happen. I could be wrong. I could be making a mistake, but that's what I'm actually investing in. So I did buy more shares of Intel this week. Now, what else is going on right now? You got some companies that have earnings coming out this week. I can't remember who's releasing earnings this week. I want to say Costco. Um, but there's some other companies too. And the thing is, if any of these earnings announcements are off base a little bit, right? Like if you see that a couple of big companies have earnings numbers that are a little bit slow, that's gonna actually probably hit the market pretty hard. But the weird thing about it is that it could actually cause the market to go up because what happens is that when the Fed sees that the economy is having trouble, they tend to intervene. And so if they believe that the economic problems are going to lead to a Fed intervention, then that can shift everything and turn everything around. And another stock that I looked at, I really like this company a lot. Is there's a has anybody ever heard of Luckin Coffee? Luckin Coffee is they actually make coffee in China, right? And they are basically trying to pass up Starbucks in the United States. They've already done it in China, and they make super cheap coffee, and it's supposedly pretty good. And they're really growing very rapidly. They had some problems though because sometimes Chinese companies they just be lying. Like they just really they have a very different standard of like truth and stuff. It's real weird. I don't know what's going like for example, when I taught in China in 2005, I remember I would go in the street and I would find movies being sold that were still in the theater back at home. Or you would find all kinds of counterfeit Nikes and Rolexes and everything else. And like so if you have a trademark, they don't really look at trademarks the way we do. Like KFC was one of the most popular restaurants I saw in China. Like you were a big baller if you went to KFC, or if you took a girl to Pizza Hut, she might want to marry you. I'm not kidding. I took my student that lived in Shanghai. I took her to Pizza Hut, and it was a really super nice restaurant. And I said in America, if I took a girl to Pizza Hut on a date, she would never want to date me again. And she goes, Dr. Watkins, if you take girl to Pizza Hut, you will get the girl. And she said that, like, so basically in China, Pizza Hut's like this fancy restaurant. Long story short, when I was there, I remember seeing all kinds of like fake KFCs everywhere, and people copying Pizza Hut in a very blatant way. And Larry Miller, who ran the Air Jordan brand, he's the guy that took Michael Jordan's shoe and took it from a $200 million company to 3 billion. Larry's a genius guy, and he's a good friend of mine.